Howdy folks, Jamboree here, and welcome to another episode of Film Chums. Joining me is Viva Becca.
Hello.
And Sora Star.
Hi.
So in this episode, we're going to be talking about animated movies based on video games as a tie-in with the recent release of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now, I want to know something first. Are you two gamers? Would you identify as gamers?
I mean, I play games sometimes.
We're scared to identify as gamers online. No one ever plays enough games to count as a gamer online.
True. I mean, like, I'd say I'm kind of casual.
Yeah.
Like, maybe when I was a kid, I was, like, mad into games. Because
Yeah,
I had
same.
the time. I had the energy at the time.
Yeah.
But, like, nowadays, I only game for, like, Twitch, and that's it.
I know that's the same with me. I have like all of these like unopened games that are sitting in my living room, and I haven't been able to play any of them, and some I've had since Christmas.
Oh my goodness. It's been 4 months.
I know, I haven't been able to play anything.
Do either of you have a favourite game?
That's a hard question. Because I really like anime RPGs where like the story is kind of the most important part, because I really enjoy those kinds of games where like the characters are really enjoyable and stuff.
Do you have a particular JRPG that's, like, stood with you?
Well, right now I'm playing through the Atelier series, and for Christmas I got the first one, which I don't actually have, which is Atelier Ravona.
Viva, do you have a favourite game?
I don't know. I mean, whenever I'm playing a game, it's my least favorite game, so it's hard to...
What? What do you mean by that?
Because if
Do you hate playing games?
fucking hate why the fucking make it so hard? It would be nice to just
No,
sit there and have it play itself. That would be nice.
Well,
I
Fucking pisses me off.
100% get you. I 100% get you. I would say that I'm more of a viewer than a gamer, and growing up, I got to a point where I just watched my brother play the games because I was more invested in the story than the gameplay.
my sister
So
used
let
to
him
do
do it
that.
all. My favourite game is Abe's Odyssey.
Oh, I love that game.
I really love it. I love the creepy, weird aesthetic. I love the world building. I love Abe himself. I love all the enemies. I love the tension that the game creates. It really keeps you constantly on your toes. Like, it's kind of scary at points.
Wait.
So the first film we're going to be talking about is Final Fantasy The Spirits Within, based on the popular JRPG games. In the year 2065 AD, creatures called phantoms have infested planet Earth. These phantoms can steal human spirits and kill people with life-threatening infections. Scientist Dr. Aki Ross and her mentor Dr. Sid are trying to locate 8 unique spirits to defeat these phantoms. These scientists are luckily joined by Captain Gray and his squad, who have decided to join Aki's mission. Meanwhile, the malevolent General Hein insists that he can stop these phantoms with a giant space cannon, but Dr. Sid fears that such destruction could harm the Earth's ecosystem of Gaia. To persuade the Council to delay the space cannon, Dr. Aki reveals that she's been infected by the phantoms herself, but the spirits she's collected so far have prevented her from death. Can our heroes find the rest of the spirits before the General launches his cannon? Even though it's the most boring one, to me, it's the one I have the most to say about.
Well, you guys have fun with that.
Come on, Sora, join in.
Right, okay, I'm gonna like level with you guys, right? See, when I'm watching these movies for the podcast, see if I think that, oh my goodness, this movie is so boring, I just want it to end. I will play the movie in 2 times speed so that it just gets through it. I can watch it, it gets to the end faster, right? But see, with this movie, I was like, oh my goodness, is this wrapping up? I went to see like the progress bar, and it said I still had 45 minutes to go, and I went, no, I can't do it. I actually can't watch this, even in 2 times speed. I need it ending now, and I just turned it off.
What?
Alright, so... James, you're my only hope as to like what the actual story was. Then you know what the story was to the movie, because I actually watched the whole movie like with my eyes open, looking at it, not doing anything else. And I don't know, man. I don't know.
Where was the Final Fantasy characters? Where was the fantasy? Where was anything? Where's the magic? Where's Cloud? Where's Tifa? Where's anybody? What was this? At some point, I kept on asking myself, am I watching the right movie? Have I am I watching the wrong movie? Because honestly, I'm like, and then I was feeling embarrassed. I was like, well, if this is the wrong movie, then I've just watched the wrong movie, and I'll just say that. But that was how bad this movie was to me.
Yeah, sorry, Sora. We're actually talking about Advent Children. No, we're talking about Spirits Within. Okay, so heads up first. This film is very nostalgic to me. I grew up with it. I
hate it when you say that, James. You can just shut up.
I'm
about
not. No. That's not me defending it. That's just me making it very clear. How do I explain this better?
No, you don't have to explain it. I've heard you say this plenty of times, and then you continue to defend trash.
No, I'm not going to defend this film, trust me. That's what I mean, is that, like, taking off roasting-tinted glasses, it's not a good film. It is not aged well at all. I don't even remember why I liked it as a kid. I think I just mainly liked the idea of it, like, like, to me, at that age, it was one of the more mature animated films that I was old enough to watch. So that's why I thought it was, like, more grown up than it really is. But you were saying how it has very little to do with Final Fantasy, which brings me on to a question I should have asked right away. Have either of you actually played Final Fantasy before?
I know of it. I've played through, like, my big brother mostly played all of the Final Fantasy games, and then I was just kind of like the person who sat there and watched, and like,
Aww.
Yeah. And then, like, he finally let me play one of them. I think it was Final Fantasy VIII, and I've heard people say that's, like, the worst one, but I liked it. I didn't get very far in it, because, like, I was really bad at, like, gaming when I was little. But I still liked it, and, like, all the characters are really, like, pretty, and, like, everything's all nice and fun. And I remember he played it on the computer as well, and then, like, whenever he got into a battle, like, he would be like, right, you can be Yuna, and you can just pick what attack you want. And
Aww.
I know.
I don't associate with these things.
I'm at the Final Fantasy.
I'm certainly not going to play it if this is what it's like.
This is not what it's like.
It's not like this.
It feels like it's more based on, like, Call of Duty or something else like that, not Final Fantasy.
Coming into it, what I knew about Final Fantasy were that the boys were pretty in it, so I was expecting some pretty boys. I come into this and I see a freaking Gears of War style square gentleman.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is he so square? They're supposed to be pretty in this game.
I grew up playing Final Fantasy IX. I got really into Final Fantasy IX. So, like, I know a Final Fantasy. A lot of fans have pointed out that the film has pretty much hardly anything to do with the games aesthetically. But a lot of fans have also pointed out that it has themes. It has the same kind of themes as the games. Apparently one of the characters is called Sid, and that's a thing that happens a lot in the games. And it's directed by the guy who directed a lot of the Final Fantasy games. That's all I can really say in terms of background of like how much it connects to the games.
So not really. There's a guy called Sid, and that's it.
But I get exactly what you both mean. To me, it really reminded me of James Cameron's Aliens, even has the same kinds of characters, same kind of stock characters thrown in there as well. In terms of the look of the film, the movie was pretty much made mainly to kind of like show off technology. And it is like mocap, and they really wanted to like push how photorealistic they could make the characters look. Nowadays, when I look back, yes, for 2001, I can imagine people going, whoa! But you look back now and it's like, they look kind of plasticky, they look kind of stilted. Yeah, and like when the characters try to smile, they look like that awkward old man meme. It just doesn't look right. And I'm not a fan of Uncanny Valley myself.
Mm-hmm.
This was the show-off stuff? Man, the animation in the Barbie movie looked better than this.
I don't know if I go that far, but I get you. It's very plasticky. I mean, like a big reason it's kind of dull is that it's so difficult to emotionally resonate with characters that look like they're kind of dead inside.
Honestly, it's hard to even see them because you have to focus on the screen to see them, but I can pretty much guarantee you that your eyes will glaze over within a couple minutes of watching the movie.
I enlarged the scanning perimeter to include an area that we had previously overlooked.
The impact crater.
That's a strange place to find the Eighth Spirit.
Yes, really quite astonishing.
The only, well, I don't know if I would say good. The only decent thing about it is that this was the only movie we watched where the voice acting didn't make me want to kill myself, so... It's not good voice acting, but it's better than the other stuff.
It's very star-studded, and it is, yeah, I agree, much better voice acting than the others, but it is kind of weird hearing those really recognizable voices coming out of these plastic uncanny dolls.
So these scanners are probably worse for us than the Phantoms.
Oh, probably about it, Captain. These machines are suspected of causing sterility, and I want to have a little Neil Jr. calling me Daddy someday.
That's a spooky thought.
Why are you always busting my chops?
People, let's just do this thing, all right?
I think another problem with it is that it wants to be taken very, very seriously, but it's kind of childish. It really wants to get across some really interesting themes, and I'm down for these themes.
What themes, though? Like, explain what the themes are.
The themes are meant to be like environmentalism and spirituality. But the way the film goes about it is like very surface level, and just very cartoony. Because the film is trying to have this debate about whether we should protect the environment and whether we should believe in the spiritual side of nature, stuff like that. But it throws in this strawman character who's so ridiculous that he kind of reminds me of the villain from the Lorax. They're trying to have this really dark, serious, mature tone. And they bring in this, like, this guy that's constantly stroking his chin, and he's got like a constant sneering face, and he's like, "Oh, I don't believe in this touchy-feely spiritual stuff."
Doctor, with all due respect, did you come here just to talk about some Gaia theory? To tell us that planet is alive? That it has a spirit?
It's so silly. And then the part that, when he's like, "I'm going to launch my space cannon," and it's like, movie, you've lost me. And then to make it even sillier, they cast James Woods, who we all associate, in terms of voice work, we associate with Disney villains. So you got the voice of Hades coming out of this guy that's dressed in all black, and you swear any moment he needs a mustache to twirl.
Yeah, I didn't know what that even was. I don't know what was happening there.
Warning. System overload.
I know!
Warning. System overload. Warning. System overload.
But it must be done.
Warning.
It's all very preachy because the movie only cares about Aki and Sid's opinions. You've either got a straw man villain challenging them, and all of his opinions are designed to be flat and bad and evil, and everyone else just doesn't know how to feel, so they have nothing compelling to add either.
You don't believe any of this, do you?
I just don't know, Aki.
They did a really bad job of introducing Aki, that's one thing. She, like, definitely acts like she's way better than everybody else at the beginning, and they kind of explain why she's like that later, but that's not a good way to introduce your character.
You know my security rating allows me to bypass this.
Yeah, well, if I'm going to be frank, I didn't really gravitate towards any of the characters. They are what they are. You've got your activist scientist, your stern, serious captain, the old mentor, the silly, nerdy comic relief. Even when one of them died, I wasn't fussed. I didn't feel anything. There wasn't even any characters where I was like, yeah, they got killed. There wasn't even an annoying character. The film tries to have a sense of humor as well, and even that just falls flat. Like, and I'm the guy that loves the comic relief characters, and none of Neil's jokes made me laugh. Like a lot of the rest of the dialogue in the film, it's all very trailer talk, if you know what I mean. Like, it's just like bites for the trailer.
Excuse me, Doc, but what friggin' relationship? I mean, you got your human-sized phantoms, and your creepy caterpillary phantoms, and your flying phantoms, and let's not forget my personal favorite, the big fat giant phantoms.
Down, boy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it could be worse. There's humor that makes you annoyed, and it wasn't that. It wasn't the best humor either, though. I did laugh a lot, though, because every time these dudes turned around, I was just like, why do they look like that?
I remember, like, when I was looking up the movie, it said, like, it costed something like £170 million to make.
Do you mean dollars?
Yeah, dollars, sorry. And they didn't, like, make anything, like, worth remarking on. Like, yeah, the animation in that is, like, really good for 2001, but, like, there's nothing, like, for, like it won't stand the test of time if there's, like, nothing, like, you know...
I know it doesn't really leave an impact, and I feel like the only reason why people recall it to this day and still bring it up to this day is because it has the Final Fantasy brand attached to it. That's pretty much it. That is it.
Yeah.
That's the only reason people will, like, spark a discussion about it. I don't even think this film was remarkably bad. It was just boring. Just kind of like, well, that existed.
Yeah, you can... It's a weird mix between you have no idea what's going on, but you can kind of know everything that's going on because you've seen movies like it before.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the one way to keep you entertained while watching this film is just to go, oh yeah, that reminds me of this film. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Super Mario anime movie. One evening, Mario is playing a video game. Suddenly, a princess called Peach jumps out of the TV, begging for Mario's help. The princess is dragged back into the TV by the evil Bowser, though, and she leaves behind a mysterious gem necklace. The next day, Mario and Luigi are working in their shop, when out of the blue, a weird-looking dog steals the necklace from Mario, so Mario and Luigi chase after the dog into the Mushroom Kingdom. It's here that they meet a hermit, who explains that Bowser has taken over the kingdom and plans to marry Princess Peach. Mario, who is madly in love with Peach now, is eager to go rescue the kidnapped princess, while Luigi is on board for the chance of finding riches. So, what did you two think of the Mario anime movie?
Have you ever played Mario before?
That's a good question that I should have opened with. I have played Mario. When I was a kid, I played Super Mario Land 1 and 2 on the original Game Boy. The handheld console that had no light, and you had to kind of like just stick the Game Boy into near the sunlight to actually see what you're playing. The Game Boy Mario game is a big part of my childhood. I've played 64 as well, and I'm a big fan of Super Smash. I wouldn't say like I'm a hardcore Mario fan, but there's some nostalgia there. There's at least some nostalgia there.
I'm kind of the same. Like, I haven't really played that many. I played Mario Party, like, 4 and 5 and 8 on the GameCube. And, like, my siblings played all the Mario games, and it's just something that, like I was more of, like, a Sonic fan. Recently I downloaded Yoshi's Crafted World, and I've also played, like, the Toad game. And, like, they're okay. I think they're really cute, and, like, I like how the actual plot of like Mario's like really simple, and like it still works.
Yeah, they've never gone crazy with the lore. It's just they've tried different like formats and formulas, but like it's always been like very straightforward. And that's kind of fits the Nintendo brand really, because Nintendo's meant to be very casual, friendly kind of games.
Yeah.
So Viva, any history of Super Mario?
I've played some of it. I don't like it, though.
Oh, any reason why?
It's not my style of game, and I think Mario looks weird, and I don't like that he doesn't fit into the world very much.
Right, okay. I kind of get that. He is an Italian plumber in a Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah.
But yeah, onto the actual anime movie. What do you all think of the anime film?
I thought it was terrible.
How would you boil down its terribleness?
Like they didn't even try to make a movie. They just came up with random stuff and they did that. The animation was ugly and it was racist, so.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of boiling down most of it, really. I mean, my main problem with it is that it's very repetitive. We get the setup, and then Mario and Luigi will bump into some kind of enemy. The enemy will pester them. They'll beat the enemy, and then they're granted an item. And then we have a montage put to city pop music, and then that basically again and again. I've just summed up the film. I think the real issue is that it's both a compliment and a fault, but it's very authentic to the games. Very, very close to the games. It's too close, though. It doesn't really do anything beyond the templates that it was left with. Because the interesting thing about adapting Mario into film, you just have very basic kinds of things. So you can, like, take those things and just go crazy with them. But with this film, it's just kind of like, well, we played the game, and this is the game as a movie. Yeah, I have to agree. The animation is very tacky and cheap, and it didn't even have like any moments of animation where you kind of like, oh, I see where the budget went.
I didn't think it looked that bad. Like, I've definitely seen way
Oh,
worse.
I have. Yeah. I'm not saying it's the worst thing I've ever seen. It's just very acceptable. Seeing as Sora is the probably the least harsh towards this, is anything that you liked about this?
Like, I didn't like dislike it, but I didn't think it was great. But like and I like the music, even though they played the same song like 4 times in the space of the movie.
I like I'll agree. The city pop music is really catchy. But city pop in general is a great genre of Japanese music. But most of the time, they just recycled music from the games. Literally, most of the music you're hearing is just the video game music. I would only recommend this film to people just for the city pop soundtrack.
You're right that it does follow like the game plot like really closely, but like the game doesn't really have much of a plot in the first place. So like the movie, like basically following the game, it feels a little bit lackluster, and that's probably what this kind of 3-item challenge was, kind of just to pad out the movie. And like that's all well and good. Like I think if you give this movie to like a 6-year-old, like they'd love it, they'd watch it all the time.
I think I would hate it. Like, as a kid, if I saw this, I would not finish it. And that's why, one of the reasons why I didn't like it so much, because its literal only purpose for existing is to entertain children, and I feel like it wouldn't do that.
It would distract kids. It's very much babysitter fodder. It's very much babysitter fodder. It's kind of just like, here you go, kids. You like Mario, here's a cartoon.
Like, I mean, the characters themselves are simple in the first place. Like, Mario didn't really have a personality other than, I'm a happy, like, person. And then Peach is like, yeah, I'm happy too. And Luigi's like, yeah. But, I mean, Luigi in the movie, he was kind of, like, obsessed with, like, gold and stuff. And I don't know if that's always been his character.
It was weird seeing him, but that was his main character trait as well. Just, like, money, money, money. He just suddenly became Mr. Krabs. It was just kind of weird.
Yeah. I do remember, like, in Luigi's Mansion, he is kind of, like, all scared and stuff, but never, like, oh yeah, I want money.
So, Viva, what do you think of the takes on the characters?
I don't know. I didn't like any of them. They were so ugly, I didn't even want to listen to what they had to say. I think it's funny that they changed Bowser's whole... They changed him a lot. He's all meek and stuff in this.
Yeah, Bowser's not very threatening. And his voice just sounds kind of...
No.
As soon as he talked, I was like, is that the voice you're going with for Bowser?
ねえピーチちゃんお願いそんな顔しないでご機嫌直して
じゃあ変身ごっこしようねえ何か面白いものに変身して
そんな結婚式の準備しなくちゃなんないのに
いやピーチ変身ごっこしなきゃ嫌
わかった
Princess Peach and Bowser were way better than Mario and Luigi, because Mario and Luigi still felt like pretty much nothing characters, and at least, like, I don't know, it was kind of funny to see them change Bowser to this meek dude, and then Princess Peach just ball busts him the entire movie. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, I'll admit that I enjoyed those scenes more, and I like that Peach wasn't just a damsel in distress, because, like, there's a part where she kind of tries to trick Bowser.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Bowser is also one step ahead and is kind of like, no, I knew you were going to do that. Like, I like that scene. So, like, those scenes were more fun, to be honest.
Bowser and Peach together had a good dynamic. But, like, Mario and Luigi, like, Luigi, if he wasn't there, the movie would be the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. One of the major problems I had with the film is that the big thing about the film is that it's all about rescuing Princess Peach, and it's about Mario being quote-unquote in love with Princess Peach after seeing her for like 5 seconds. Throughout the film, it just tries to portray it as like Mario is deeply, deeply, badly in love and he has to save Princess Peach. It was really weird. Like, they even had like a romantic music video playing at one point.
Yeah.
But I did find it funny how the dog that tagged along their adventure was actually the prince who was destined to marry Peach after Mario went for everything. That was kind of funny.
Like, did Peach even know this person?
It was weird, because, like, when the dog turned into a prince, like Mario was like, oh, you're Peach's fiance, and Peach is like, who are you?
Yeah.
I was like, what?
She said something like, it's whoever has the other necklace that I have, they're gonna marry me. And then the dog just randomly has it.
Yeah, there's no foreshadowing for the whole film. We just think that the dog is this side comic relief that's just there.
Dog was like the only character I liked in the movie.
I like the dog, and I feel like the dog had some of the best animation as well. Not great animation, but compared to everything else, It felt like they were trying a bit more with that one.
I feel like the only stuff in it that was good happened on accident. You know, like the 2 bits of animation that I remember being like funny were the one where Mario shuts up Luigi with the mushroom, and just that happens really fast, and like just how fast it happens is kind of funny. And then the part with Princess Peach where she gets the ring, but it's really big, so it's like a bracelet, and she like throws it across the room. That happens really fast, and that's kind of funny. But I think that the reason they happen so fast is because the animation was cheap, so they couldn't afford more frames. So I'm like, did you do it this way because you thought it was going to be funny, or because it was cheap? And I feel like it's probably just because it was cheap.
I don't know. I mean, like, there's a lot of anime that tries to go for that kind of like limited animation kind of joke. That's a very Japanese style of comedy that I've noticed. Like, they really like to like have something really crazy and cut to something still. Now it's time to move on to the Sonic the Hedgehog anime movie. In this movie, Sonic and Tails learn that Robotnik has taken the president and his daughter Sarah hostage. Robotnik explains that his city of Robotropolis has been taken over by a giant metal Robotnik, and that he'll free the political hostages once Sonic beats this malfunctioning mech. However, it all turns out to be a trap. Robotnik reveals that he's created a robot clone of Sonic called Metal Sonic, and that he plans to marry the president's daughter. So we know that Sora really loves Sonic. Viva, would you say you're a Sonic fan?
No, I haven't played Sonic.
Alright, okay. As for me, my Sonic history goes far, far, far back to the beginning, because I grew up playing the original first ever Sonic the Hedgehog on a Sega Master System. Yes, I'm that old. Grandpa Jamboree. But I've also played some Sonic games on the Sonic Mega Collection. I've played Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, and I grew up with Sonic Sat AM. I'm a very casual Sonic fan. I'm not crazy about it, but it much like Mario, it's nostalgic to me. But Sora, why do you love Sonic?
Where did I start? So I don't actually know why I like it so much. All I know is like it was one of like the things that I hyper focused on as a child. Like I loved it, and I think the first thing I got obsessed with was Sonic Underground, and everyone really hates it in the fandom. They're like, wow, this is awful, but honestly it was like the best thing ever when I was a kid. And then like in playtime I used to draw pictures of Sonic, right, and I'd cut them out so I could have Sonic dolls that I could play with, and then and then like I used to like play with my friends, and I would always be Shadow, because Shadow the Hedgehog was my favourite thing. Like I wanted to be him, I wanted to marry him.
So Sora, as the biggest Sonic fan here, what did you think of this film?
So I was so excited to watch it, right? So I'm watching it, and then Tails opens his mouth, and my ears start bleeding. And I'm like, oh no.
Not fair! You kidnapped the president and Sarah so you can hold them for ransom and take over South Island, didn't you?
Oh no! I'm like, is this really the voice acting in the whole movie? And then Sonic opens his mouth, and I'm like, oh no.
No, that's one of the major complaints against the film, is the dub, singing on your own.
Right, okay, yeah, because I watched it in English, and I don't know what to make of this movie, because like it was like, as a Sonic fan, I was kind of like, like I was underwhelmed, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, well, at least like lots is happening, and there's lots of things to talk about, because of some bits I'm like, what on earth is going on here? And there's other parts where I'm like, you know what, this is actually like, it's really camp and like just silly, goofy, and I had a good time, even if some of it was questionable.
So Viva, as the person that's the least interested in Sonic, what did you think?
I had the worst time out of all the movies watching this one.
Really?
Yeah, because Tails opened his mouth, and I just fell down a rabbit hole of being so mad that I became a voice actor at the time that I did. Like, if I had just been born freaking even just 20 years earlier, I would be like, oh my god, this is the stuff that they were doing back then. And every time I watch like old animation dubs and voiceover stuff from back in the day, it makes me so mad. I'm like, dude, I could have been like an iconic voice actor if I was working back then. If this is the stuff that they thought, like, if this is the stuff that was winning jobs back then, oh.
You know what? Do you know what I found really funny is that Sonic sounded like he was. It sounded like a South Park voice.
God.
It really. So, hey, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog. Hi guys.
God.
I couldn't stop laughing.
So now we can get down to the real fight. The last Sonic standing will be the winner. What? This world isn't big enough for both of us and one of us has to go?
My name is Gregory. I just transferred from Yardale, where I had a 4.0 grade point average.
And Knuckles just sounds like a regular dude, and he's like supposed to be cool too.
Come on, what are you waiting for? We gotta get moving or that robot generator's going to explode.
Also, the way they treat Sarah in it is really weird. I'm like, creepy. Who wrote this?
Yeah.
A weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever seen any review of this film where people say anything nice about Sarah.
I'm happy she's there. Like, she's something different for the Sonic universe, especially back for those times. Like, I think she's probably the first human. I mean, don't quote me on that. Like, I know a lot, but I don't know everything. And like, I don't understand why she's a cat, but she doesn't have cat ears, but she has a cat tail.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Did she have cat?
Or was it a
did she
monkey
have cat
tail?
ears?
It was very long tail. There were so many issues with Sarah, but like, she's really selfish. She's weirdly obsessed with Sonic, and she's always throwing tantrums every 5 seconds.
No, it's not fair. You always beat me every time. All right, one more.
Honestly, I can't say anything bad about her because when I see her, I don't see like an actual character, I guess, that I could hold accountable for her actions. I see like a puppet that somebody who has a very particular fetish designed and is like moving her around. She doesn't seem like a real person. She seems like a fetish object that somebody made, and it creeps me out.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
And the way they keep on like calling her Little Sarah, I'm like, dude, why keep on saying that? Like, why is that the thing that you're focusing on when you're like wanting to marry this girl?
Like, what age is she supposed to be?
I don't know.
Is to be little somebody, like, is somebody who's like under like 11.
Robotnik, don't you think I look cute?
It suits you very well.
But besides those things, I will give the film this. There's that scene where Sonic is actually jumping through things, and like, it looks like a Sonic game. And it's very, very rare to see any video game related thing where they at least try to like be like the video game itself. So like, I like that sequence, and it's decently animated. Speaking of the animation, it's very inconsistent. It's better to look at it than the Super Mario one, but like, you can tell that they were very sparing with the budget. They were like, oh, we want this shot to look really fancy, but we'll kind of like put five yen into that scene or something.
Yeah, because some of the backgrounds were really beautiful. Like, there was this one with like it was like a city in the background or something, and it looked great. But then other scenes just looked like really low quality, like it came from the TV show.
I feel like Robotropolis has this very dystopian, murky atmosphere that's made very effective by the background designs.
I thought like the plot was okay. Like it's kind of like Robotnik having like Metal Sonic made, and now he's finally gonna, and how he like copied Sonic's entire like personality and like drive and put it in Metal Sonic, and then like when they were trying to find where they might be, Tails was like, oh, they'll be in the same place because they're both the same person. I was like, oh, that's smart.
Yeah, the main compliment people give this film is Metal Sonic. People really like Metal Sonic.
Yeah,
and like how he's used to explore the ethics of technology and the sentience of technology in particular.
I don't remember anything about the story. I didn't see it that long ago, but it wasn't good enough for me to be sucking it into my head while I was watching it. Oh, I remember Metal Sonic was ugly. That's what I remember.
Kind of intentional, because he's supposed to be a bit creepy and a bit evil looking.
I like his design. I think because this was probably like the first like kind of enemy Sonic ever had that could match him. Like, yeah, like Robotnik and Eggman were like smart and whatnot, but like nothing like physically like this that could like match Sonic's strength and his own like abilities. So like that must have been really cool to see for like people who like love playing the games back then.
Yeah, I do agree that there are moments where Sonic seems completely outmatched and he could die, but it's kind of a short fight. And the fact that Tails can hack into Metal Sonic's system makes the fight a little less tense at points. This film was actually 2 anime OVAs stitched together, and I really think it could have done with being longer than 50 minutes to make the fight more epic, and the other characters should have stayed out to make things more personal between Metal Sonic and Sonic. Apparently, a lot of people get very emotional about Metal Sonic's kind of like demise. And going into it, I was expecting it to be very deep, and I was like, it's alright. Basically what I'm talking about is the moment where Metal Sonic is like in the lava, and you think he's gonna like go and grab Sonic and bring him in, but he just like whacks Sonic's hand out of the way and decides, you know what, no, I need to die. And yeah, there's something existential there, but like it's never foreshadowed, and that's the only bit where we have like any kind of like exploration into like Metal Sonic's mind, because the rest of the film he's just fighting Sonic.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see more of his like human side, especially since he's apparently like he's like a clone of Sonic, and like Sonic would never like just fight for like no reason, but Metal Sonic does. So it would be really interesting if like Metal Sonic had more of a kind of like fight with himself to like be his own person.
Yeah, and that's, to be honest, that's one of my favourite themes of anything, is just exploring the sentience of either an object or a robot or an android. I like those kinds of films. I like those kind of stories. Those are the kind of stories I like to write myself. So yeah, I was a little disappointed that it just didn't really dive that much into it, and I do feel like people are hyping it up a bit too much, I think. Viva, do you have anything else to add? I know you didn't remember most of it, but anything you want to say?
No.
So let's move on to the last film we'll be discussing, Professor Leighton and the Eternal Diva. Professor Leighton and his apprentice Luke have been invited to an opera starring Leighton's former student, Janice. Said opera is based on the legend of the Lost Kingdom of Ambrosia and its secret elixir of life. There's some reports of strange things happening in London too. Not only have little girls gone missing, but the opera's composer, Oscar Whistler, recently adopted a child, who is oddly named after his deceased daughter, Lena. After the opera finishes, a mysterious man appears and explains to the audience that they're all contestants in a game to win the elixir of life. Only those who can successfully complete a series of puzzles can find a chance of winning said potion though. Leighton uses his puzzle solving skills to get far in the game, and a bunch of other eccentric contestants manage to keep up. We then later learn that Whistler's adoptive daughter is actually Nina, one of the missing girls who has been used as a vessel in Whistler's experiment to download his daughter's memories into a human. It's then revealed that Leighton's longtime rival, Desolé, was behind the whole game. Not only that, Whistler has been working with Desolé all along. The next target is one of the game's contestants, Amelia, but Whistler's machine loses its power, and the experiment can't be achieved. However, we then discover that the experiment did actually work after all, because Melina's downloaded personality has been in Janice all along. Melina, in Janice's body, had invited Leighton to the opera to stop her father. We then find out that Desolé actually saw his scheme as an opportunity to resurrect the long-lost kingdom of Ambrosia, and he suddenly kidnaps Janice, forcing her to sing the song that will summon Ambrosia from the sea.
Yeah, alright, James, I get it. If you love it so much, why don't you just marry the movie?
I didn't say anything yet! I said nothing yet. So, does anyone have anything mature to say that's nothing to do with teasing me?
I don't think I've ever played a Leighton game, but I did have this movie when it was when it came out.
So did you watch it before when you had it?
Yeah, I had it, and I watched it a few times, and I thought it is a good movie, especially as far as movies based on video games go. I didn't there was only a couple of things I was kind of that's not too great, but I mean everything else I really enjoyed it.
So Viva, what were your overall thoughts on this one?
Why is the child's British accent so strong? I'm this kid is supposed to actually be British, right? Why does he sound like he's struggling to sound British with every word then?
I am not his second assistant!
Oh, you're not?
I am his apprentice! And I am his apprentice #1.
Okay. While I do agree that a lot of these British accents sound forced, I think it's mainly direction. Because here's the thing. Most of the cast are actually British. It's only Leighton's actor, I think, who is American. And I think it's direction. I think a lot of the British actors have been told to, like, maybe over-exaggerate their accents or, like, over-exaggerate their deliveries. So yeah, I think that's to kind of blame. But at the same time, a lot of these British actors come from preschool animation background. They're used to reading their lines with a lot more overacting. So yeah, there's reasons why they sound the way they do. Sora says she's not played the Leighton games. Have you, Viva?
I haven't played it. I haven't played any of them, but I've seen videos from all the different games.
I've never ever played any Leighton game, and I don't think I will because I don't have the patience for puzzles.
That's a shame because, like, this is the only movie we watched that made me want to play the game it was based on.
Maybe I'll give it a chance. Mainly for the cutscenes. I played the games for the cutscenes.
Because I like detective puzzle games.
Yeah, when they introduced it and Luke is like, it all started with a game. I was like, I'll play the game instead of watching this movie if you're not in it.
You'll be in the
Okay. First of all, so a few like maybe a couple of years ago, all my technology that I owned broke, my phone and my computer. So all I could ever do was watch DVDs, and this was one of the DVDs I watched. And while I wasn't blown away by the film, there was a lot of concepts there that inspired me to start working on my first ever feature animated film. So like that's why I do have a soft spot for it. I'm not like insanely passionate about the film or anything, but like I have to kind of thank it because it was the stepping stone to kind of like getting my actual career going. I guess it just has things that I personally like. There's just certain ideas and concepts here that attract me, like the theme of immortality. You've got steampunk technology. You've got detective mystery. There's a lot of stuff here that I personally like. The film itself, though, it's okay.
I thought that the character designs were very brave, like they were unusual and they were brave. I didn't like the way they looked, but I was like, you're doing something different, so that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
But they are very unique.
How come Leighton doesn't have any whites? Like all the other characters have whites of their eyes, and Leighton doesn't.
I think that's mainly the fault of the games. The games kind of like set up the art style. They had to just be faithful to that art style. I personally liked the art style, but that's because I like weird and I like cute, and I feel like that's what this was kind of like. I think the best way to describe the art style is gangly chibi. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like Castle of Cagliostro, but if it was chibi.
Like, I think that the art style's okay, but like just some characters didn't look right at all. Like, especially in the theater at the start, there's like some of the audience members, I'm looking at them and like, it's not often I go like, eh.
I like them. I like weird. I like this. I look how grotesque and strange they look. It doesn't really fit the tone of the film, and it's a little distracting, and there's not really a consistency to all the different designs, but like I like that look, and that's kind of my drawing style as well, and Sora knows that.
I thought the puzzles were quite good, and like it does make you think, and like when the characters are trying to figure out what the answers could be, when there's like the big like mystery cruise, when they're trying to figure out like all the answers to what the host is saying, I thought like they were like quite good questions, and like the answers were like quite satisfying, especially if you think about it and if you're paying attention.
If I'm honest, I don't think I can give a fair opinion on how good the puzzles were for an audience viewer, because I'll admit that I wasn't playing along. Probably because this time I actually knew what the answers were, maybe. I don't know.
I think it starts out good and it gets worse as it goes along in general, but also in terms of like the riddles that you're supposed to be solving, I guess, like along with them. They give you the information and they give you time to think about it, and I thought that was good because it kind of goes with the game. at the beginning, but then as it goes along, like the later ones, you don't actually have that opportunity. Like, you couldn't solve it, which that started to feel kind of unfair. So I was like, they should have thought more about these later puzzles.
I enjoyed things the most when the game was starting. They're watching this opera together, and suddenly it was all dark, and then like there's this mysterious force behind the game that's being introduced. It's like, ooh, and now they have to explore the ship, and I kind of wish it stayed on the ship. I felt like the ship was really interesting, and I loved that it had all these different artifacts on it that could be clues all over the place. You know what this film reminded me of the most? It's like Squid Game for kids. Because they're having to do puzzles, and then they could get killed.
Leighton was so cold about it. Leighton was like not even giving them the answer to like save their life. He's like, yeah, they died, whatever. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, that was kind. He was always like that. It was, while I thought Leighton was kind of cool and he had that Sherlock charisma going for him, it was kind of weird how nonchalant he was half the time.
And they explain later in the movie that the people didn't actually like die or something, but I was like, still, like, did Leighton know that?
Leighton didn't know that. Leighton didn't know that. Leighton's always just smiling and like, I know the answer.
I'm not going to tell anybody, though.
To be fair, I did kind of like that at least Luke worked it out, was allowed to work it out sometimes. It wasn't always Leighton. I kind of like, it was like, okay, you've let Luke have his moment.
I've got it, Professor. I am certain of it.
While a lot of it does feel standalone, I feel like the fans of the games will get way more out of it, and the main reason I say that is because when the villain first appears, it's A, completely out of nowhere, and B, Luke is like, oh, it's you! And like, I was like, who? And I had a bit of research, and apparently he's like one of the main baddies in the games, but like, for everyone else, it's kind of like, who is this guy? And he just ends up being a very flat villain because of that. I totally get how Desolé's appearance would be amazing for superfans, because they have all this history from the video games that can help make him a more interesting character. Like, fans of the game are really going to feel the rivalry between Leighton and Desolé. It's there for them. However, for casual movie viewers, we're just going off of what the movie has given us, which isn't much, if I'm honest. It's very rewarding fan service, but it's at the expense of good storytelling for this film.
Yeah, and then he's like not raising frickin' Ambrosia, and then Leighton does it, and he's all like pissed about it. I'm like, dude, your whole goal was to raise Ambrosia. Leighton's doing it for you. Why are you so mad about it?
Okay, I have a point, and I don't know if Sora can back me up on this. This is a very British thing. So I couldn't stop laughing whenever a character said Ambrosia, because in the UK there is a type of custard called Ambrosia. I don't know if you have it in Scotland, Sora.
Yeah.
So I burst out laughing when the villain was like, "Rise, Ambrosia!" I was like, what? To kind of equate it to American culture, imagine if he was going, "Rise, Ben and Jerry's!" I get that Ambrosia has like an original meaning, but I cannot shake. It's not the film's fault, but at the same time, you've set it in England.
Yeah, like I'll be honest, when I was watching this, as like when it first came out, like that's all I could think of. But obviously now that I know what the other meaning is, I can be like, right, I could just put my like child brain to the side and just watch it for what it's supposed to be.
Ambrosia will rise again.
Ambrosia custard. Heaven knows how they make it so creamy.
So what do you two think of the movie's emotional aspect, which is Whistler's relationship with his daughter and the grief he's going through?
Weak. They didn't think about it at all. Their whole message was like, they'll never be gone as long as we remember them. I'm like, dude, we've heard that like literally all the time.
It was a very generic kind of like message for grief. I'll admit that. But I don't see any harm in telling this message again for another film. It's fine, especially if you've never heard this message before. And it's a good message. It's true. Like, the more you remember someone, the more likely they're going to stay with you. When I've seen people talk about this film, they always say, like, oh, I broke down crying to this film. And, like, I didn't feel anything. I didn't really feel anything. And the first time I watched this film, I did not get the twist whatsoever. I didn't know what was going on when they were revealing everything. And then when I was rewatching the film for this, I was like, right, this time pay attention and try to work it out. I got it, But I didn't care this time. I wasn't that... And I think it's mainly because it tries to introduce the emotional resonance way too late into things, and it's asking you to care right in the finale, and like I was like,
way too late into things.
But yeah, Whistler's loss is established right at the start of the film, but his grief is played very low-key in these earlier scenes, because the film is wrapped up in creating mystery and making Whistler out to be an enigma.
Don't worry. Just leave everything to me.
They're trying to make him a sympathetic character who got caught up in the villain scheme. But then once he just grabs Luke and is like, I'm going to try it on this kid. I get you're desperate, but you've lost me now.
I feel like it's hard to feel for him as well, because it's like, oh, boo-hoo, you lost your daughter. Like, you have any idea how many people in the world every day lose their daughter? How come you get to be the one that goes off the chain and, like, does all this crazy stuff? I feel like it wasn't enough, you know, to justify going crazy, because there's loads of people that go
Absolutely, yeah. It's not a natural instinct to try and, like, make the person you just lost immortal.
Yeah, I mean, not to say it wouldn't be sad or anything, it's just everybody else has handled that without going crazy and stuff.
And like, about the eternal life elixir thing, like, a lot of the contestants were there for, like, really, like, superficial reasons. Like, that lady who was like, I will be beautiful forever. And that was, like, her whole reason for wanting to live forever, was just so she could, like, stay young. And then there was that, like, football guy who was like, oh, I need to fix my leg.
They were putting so much stuff into it. They were putting so much... I was like, they just said it's going to make you live forever. They didn't say it was going to fix your body. They didn't say it was going to keep you young. Like, you could just live forever, like, in your molding away body and, like, be in eternal torment, because they haven't promised anything beyond you won't get to die ever.
I feel like they're supposed to maybe be, like, throwaway reasons, like, examples of why people will be interested in them. There should have been better examples, I agree, but I think that's what they were trying to go for, like, saying that there are shallow reasons why people would want this.
Yeah, I get that, but it would have been nice if, like, somebody, like, really had, like, I need this. So, like, that girl who wanted to save her grandfather, like, that was nice, and you'd be like, right, okay, maybe we should actually give this to her. Like, if it was legit. And then everyone was like, right, like, everyone got to the end, and you're like, who should we get? Like, who deserves this the most, kind of thing.
And the whole granddad thing is just dropped, and I know I keep saying it, but it's just dropped us right at the climax. So, like, it's like, oh, that's interesting, can we learn more? Oh, no, okay, fine.
The whole, like, how she got there was just dropped on us, too. He's like, my daughter really liked music, so I was looking for other little girls that were really smart. I was like, okay, you don't have to be smart to like music. And he's like, and I found this random freaking chess champion, and I brought her to the theater. I'm like, all right, weird.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
What? And I'm like, all right, so she's going to win the prize then.
So, I mean, like, this was possibly, out of all of them, the most watchable, I'll say that.
This is probably the only one I'd ever, like, watch again.
It had a very Ghibli, Lupin the Third kind of thing going for it, and I like that kind of entertainment. And I think that's why I was kind of like, oh, I'm down for this.
Yeah, pretty much the same over here. Like, the other movies, like, are not on the same level as this one. Like, this one is, like, the clear, like, best one. And I know everyone, and it's like, oh, it's subjective. No, it's not. Like, this is the best one out of all the ones that we've watched today.
I do know that a lot of people cite this film as an example of a good video game movie. I've seen it quite a lot. It gets brought up in a lot of lists. And I can kind of see why, but mainly because the bar is so low.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe I would have enjoyed the film more if I played the games, but if a film requires you to do homework to get emotionally invested in it, it's not a good sign of a well-told story. A couple of characters are movie-only, though, so to be fair, yeah, I don't know.
I still wouldn't recommend it. I think it was more watchable than the other ones, but it wasn't really good enough that I would recommend it to anybody.
I think if you like movies like The Great Mouse Detective and like stuff like that, I think it's harmless.
I think what bugs me the most is that I want to like this movie more, Because like I said before, it has so many things that I personally like existentialism and like steampunk technology and detective mystery. Like, everything is there. All the ingredients are there. This should be a movie made for me, but I came out just kind of like, okay.
They dropped the ball way too hard at the end.
What do you both think would make a great animated movie based on a video game?
Oh my god.
Yeah, like, it's hard to kind of tell, because obviously you've got like that Super Mario movie where it was exactly like the game, and then you've got like that Sonic movie that was kind of like nothing like the game, but like they tried to add in other elements. Maybe if you have like the actual plot, but like just adapt it more for a cinematic viewing, and like obviously it's really nice to keep things that the fans would know. And I mean, like, the first Sonic movie that came out a couple years ago was really good at like appealing to the fans. Like, it rewarded you for like playing the games, and then obviously it was like accessible enough to like a new audience. And I'm not seeing the second movie yet, so I can't really talk about that. But I feel like the first Sonic movie is a good example of a movie adapted from a video game.
I think maybe you should consider adapting it to a TV show instead of a movie, because the only things that I've heard of that have adapted video games well are TV shows, because like when you're playing a video game, that's a lot of hours into the story, isn't it? Like, they're quite a bit longer stories than even books or movies, so they lend themselves to something that has the time.
So I've not seen a video game like animated series that's been good, apart from maybe Sonic Sati.
I was gonna say,
like, it's really good. Yeah, it's really good.
Really good.
But then there's the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. That's awful.
I heard good things about Arcane. I heard Arcane was good, and I liked Castlevania. I liked the first few seasons of that.
Most animated movies based on video games are often either long cutscenes just for fans, or they forget the appeal of the games they're based on and end up being generic, forgettable films. When it comes to these kinds of movies, I think that the video game should just be the idea seed, rather than a sacred blueprint that has to be followed. Filmmakers need to find the heart and spirit of the game, then work out how to turn that sentiment into a feature film. Good filmmaking should come before fan service, I'll always stand by that, but there also needs to be at least some kind of respect given to the source material too. Okay, I've been Jamboree.
I'm Sora Star.
I'm not saying anything.
Are you boycotting?
Yeah, I am.